My name is Bruce Burgess, and I'm the president of this year, of the Chemical Amateur Radio Society here in Oriental. And the Radio Society, in conjunction with the town of Oriental, tries to present these hurricane forums every year. It's rough, pretty dire. We didn't do one last year for whatever reason. I don't know why. But the last one was 2 years ago. And we had a good turnout, and it was on the internet at that time. And Eric will tell you how you can watch this again if you want to, as did Diane. But I want to thank you all for coming this evening. For those of us that we didn't during length of time, we know the importance of weather, and especially after June 1st, where we could have a slow. Knock on wood. We've been lucky the last couple of years. Our last bad hurricane was Florence. And we survived it, but it was a team effort from a lot of folks. And that's one good thing about a small town. We all come together and help each other out. So, yeah, that happens again. We're all rolling together. But just keep our fingers crossed that it goes north, south, east, and west of us, because we don't need it. Anyway, I want to introduce, most of you know or may not know Diane Miller, but she's the town manager for the town of Oriental. I would like her to introduce the town councilors of the theater, and then I will introduce our main speaker for the evening. Okay.
Commissioner Charlie Overcash, Mayor Sally Valencia, Commissioner Bonnie Crossan. So that's all of us. We are still under a quorum. Yeah. We'll have that discussion.
Thank you, Diane. Charlie is a member of PARC, Chemical Radio Society, and we activate when there is a hurricane or any other disaster in the area, the immediate area of Oriental. I'm also the Chemical County coordinator for, I just had a, Oxcom. Thank you. Thank you, Charlie. For Oxcom, which is it's a national organization. It's not an organization. We're part of NIMS, which is the part of
National Incident Management
System. And we are called to other areas of the state when needed. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I live near the water, so I'm not one that they call because I have my own issues. But in reality, we basically stay within the Oriental proper area. We might go out into Bayboro in the surrounding area, but when there is something going on, the Amateur Radio Society will activate. And because we could lose, even though we have that cell tower out there on Kershaw Road, and they all have generators, it can go down. Our radio repeaters for our club are on 2 towers, the Kershaw Tower, and ours is all done by solar. So we don't depend on fuel, we don't depend on electricity. The cell towers go out, we're still going to be active. We also have one out there on not Kershaw, but yeah, it's it's the subdivision up here.
Dawson Creek.
River Dune. Sounds like it's somewhere out there. Why am I having such a problem? Thank you, Arlington Place. Yeah, we have another one out there on Arlington Place. So we have redundancy for ourselves in this community. And our society was actually formed to assist Oriental years ago with the police and fire service. and it's kind of grown from there. So we're still here to help.
Can I add something?
Yes, you can, Joe.
There are a lot of amateur radio operators in the Oriental area. And we have a meeting the last Saturday of every month, but they would be great contacts to know, and we can publish the list of who they are. We will be able to contact people for you. If everything else is out, we have our power, most of our the ones that are in the areas, the emergency services have auxiliary power, and we stay in contact with the sheriff's department. There's a center at the community college, and then at the courthouse that we're in contact. We're the eyes and ears sometimes for the sheriff's department when they can't send out somebody. There's one of us close to an area and then something comes up, we can check it and save them for something more important. So you can check with me here at Town Hall just about any time through Diane, and I'll be glad to help you find somebody near you.
I was gonna ask that question. So you guys are part of a network, and then you're connected to the alert system. But how would we, like, let's say things are catastrophic, how would we get to the people that have those communication abilities?
Excellent question. And it comes back to knowing your neighbors. And there are over 250 amateur radio operators in our immediate area. You know why that is? Sailboaters. Most sailors have an amateur radio on board, and they use a system called WinLink. WinLink is an email service. And we can send emails if all the power goes out, if we don't have anything. We can send an email from our location to one of your relatives outside the disaster area. Okay? Just like regular email. A lot of people are aware of that. And that's the advantage of amateur radio. If all else fails, amateur radio is still there. People still rely too much on cell phones. And if that power goes down, or something happens out there, all of the services are on one tower out there. Okay? So that's not a good thing. There is another tower out in the river dunes, but it's far away. It's kind of hard to reach us here in town. So get to know your neighbors and get to know where your amateur radio operators are. You can check them online by going in there and amateur radio, and you'll come up with different maps. But,
Can I get a list?
yeah, we
That we can maintain here?
Yeah, we can do this. But,
We'll be able to find the closest person to you.
because if you think about it, we get a major hurricane and flooding. Roads are blocked by flood, by trees down, power lines. The sheriff's office may not be able to get to this. Okay, so like Charlie said, we tell them, ECC, Chemical Community College, is the shelter, the designated shelter for this county. We have 2 antennas out there, and we set up in the dental lab. So in the spare time, we can work on Steve. But we were set up, and we also set up every courthouse. We have an antenna on the roof of the courthouse. Next time you drive by, you see it. So we can maintain contact with the sheriff's office and the state police. We can also maintain contact with Raleigh and the state EOC. So hope that never happens, but we practice. Matter of fact, we have an exercise on the 14th of next month. And we participate in all of Eastern North Carolina to make sure we can do that. It's between us, public safety, and all the hospitals. We also have radios in all the hospitals in Eastern North Carolina that we have contact. So, yeah, we're pretty damn fortunate.
Yes.
What we have available to us. But we're not here to talk about all of that. I would not like to introduce. That's right. Well, I want to introduce you first because you're going to be the follow-up for Diane, the main show. She's just a warm-up.
Glad you don't live in town.
Eric Payne, he's with the National Weather Service in Newport, Morehead City. He's been there for a number of years, and fortunately, he's done a lot of these presentations for us and other communities around the area. So he's going to be the main presenter, but Diane's going to be the main presenter for the town of.
You can't recover now.
I'm trying. Give me a break. Hey, Diane.
And our technical assistants, Matthew. So I'm gonna make this pretty quick, all of everything that I'm telling you is on paper, and it's also electronically. Remember that once the event happens, we have these in our office. You're welcome to take them out of this file tonight, or download them yourself off of our website. I don't know if the girls got the contact sheet updated yet or not, but, all of the information that you need that I'm going to discuss is in that packet. So you can get it, just remember to take things offline and turn off what you need before the power. So this is what I'm gonna run through really quickly. Watches in the morning is watches in the morning. So the watch that you're looking for is, and Eric's gonna explain this more technically. So in layman's terms, if a watch is, we could be in the path, as the phone gets bigger, more people are in the path, the warning means it's imminent, we're coming in, it's coming in, we just don't necessarily know if we're gonna wobble, or if it's gonna hit us right in the head and get back. But stay tuned to NOAA radio, that's to get a NOAA radio that does not plug in, have extra batteries, all those things, and keep track of things. This is one thing that's really important to us. The Saffir-Simpson scale is categorized as hurricanes. It's only about wind. Everybody, most people who have lost of property life is due to water. So this scale only tells you about wind. When you're doing this, these are the wind effects, but you gotta remember the storm surge is what you're paying attention to. So when you listen to all of those things, radio, television, or however you get news, really pay attention to the water. You've seen by the street goes under, all it takes is northeast wind. Yeah, if that northeast wind, when we get on the backside of that hurricane moving across us, that'll come up. In Florence, it came out almost empty. So, the water is the really important part. We are in evacuation zone A, which is this red part. That's us there. What Hamilton County, emergency management runs through the state then runs it through the counties. When there is an event coming, the county emergency manager called all of us, police, public works, administration, to the county, and we have a conference with the state emergency management office. And Bruce and the guys are there too, so that they are able to communicate, put it out to their crowds. So while they tell you, this is your evacuation zone, and they say zone A needs to be evacuated, we cannot make you leave. A mandatory evacuation, I cannot make you leave. I can request from you a next of kin contact. Because I'm not sending police into a collapsed structure. Because you chose not to go. If we tell you to go, there's a reason that we're telling you to go. Our police work 24/7 for weeks afterwards to make sure everybody and their property was safe. I had one elderly gentleman that was taken to his son in Virginia, and the son called me and said, please talk to my dad and tell him there is no reason for him to come back. And I got on the phone with Dad and I said, we have no power, we have no groceries, we have no fuel. It's hot as Hades. Please stay in Virginia with your son. And that's all it took me to stay there a little bit. I said, police got to check the structure. You can always call us and ask. We will send people out to check the integrity of your structure. They will walk all the way around the outside. Tell me if your roof's collapsed. I would rather you be someplace else asking me that than be inside that structure. So back to evacuation zones. If we ask you to evacuate, there's a reason we're asking you to evacuate. But the shelter at the county, coastal areas are moving away from recommending and being able to staff those shelters. So they're recommending that you go further in. They're having trouble with people dropping elderly with dementia, dropping off adults that need mental or physical medical attention. So they really, really would like for you to evacuate out of the area. That is an emergency only shelter. And it's also dog friendly. So there are some people that will go because they don't want to, they can't take their dogs. So that you can force any hotel to make you allow you to keep your animal when you're evacuating from an emergency. So don't let them want to. So be prepared. Go to the list and then one online, talk to you all about checklists. Do you have enough medication? Do you have enough water? Do you have enough everything that you need to sustain your family in your space for at least 72 hours? And what we preach is the first 72 is on you. So for 72 hours, my staff and I, and sometimes the commissioners and mayor, are driving around doing damage assessments, taking that information back to the county. For communications, our police are on Viper, which is a very strong system that allows them to communicate directly with the Emergency Operations Center in Bayboro. It also allows them to communicate with the state EOC. And all of our folks are on AT&T FirstNet, which any of you that were here during Florence will know that there were times where you couldn't even, all circuits were busy, your call can't go through. Our calls are prioritized, they will go through. So you try to call us or us trying to call anybody, our calls are going to be prioritized. And they work pretty well during the last event. So all of the things, tune in to television. Let me caution you. Remember that WITN, CTI, and NCT, the 3 local channels, and the Weather Channel, and all of the others have a vested interest in you continuing to watch their channel. So, NOAA, National Weather Service, National Hurricane Center, those are the 3 that are your trusted sources. We in Oriental do emergency management in the churches. If you are attached to any of the churches, each of them has a representative because not everybody trusts the government going anywhere. But you will have 0 issue going to your pastor and saying, hey, I'm leaving town. Here's the contact information where I'm going. And then they will print all that off before the calendar of that, and we will have a good count of how many people are gone and how many people are here. Really important if we get water spouts that come on land and become visitors, structures get damaged, all of those things. So these are the 2 forms that are also online and in that package. One is the housing form. So if you're going to leave, we ask that you put this on the inside of your front door, so that if your structure is compromised, emergency services only has to bust through the first door. They don't have to go all the way into that structure to find out that there's nobody there. If they come in and see this sign that says you have gone someplace else because the roof's caved in or there's a tree across the roof or whatever it takes, they will know that they don't need to, you don't need to put emergency services in any more danger than they're in. For those of you, how many, this is their first hurricane season? Anybody? Cool. So it's a good time. Vehicle recall form is, we put, a lot of us move vehicles because we're in low-lying areas. We move vehicles all over the crap. So a lot of vehicles get parked in the Oriental Methodist parking lot that is grass, that's high road. People park on the road. Help me, Sally. The church, what is the church on right?
Free will back.
Free will benefits is high, but you can't find parking in that handicap parking space there. I mean, you're gonna see lawnmowers, you see all of it. So the rec park is high. The gravel areas of the rec park. If you leave a vehicle, please put one of these in the dashboard so we can contact you in case it floats, in case something falls on it, in case we need to do something about it, we'll be able to contact you one way or another. And then there's all these lists. So what we want to talk about, there's all the things you need before, there's all the things you need during. Remember, you need 72 hours worth of whatever makes you happy. And then there's that after. And the after is, you're not going to have enough information, you know, the mask, you won't start immediately, especially when you don't have air conditioning. So you're going to want to clean, make sure you have extra cleaning supplies, make sure you have rubber gloves, make sure you have all those things. And then things you might not think about, entertainment, charge up for Game Boy, it's not Game Boy anymore, Switch, there you go. Charge up all those things and make sure you're also preparing for pets, babies, and elderly. Make sure you get fit now at the time, get the shots up to date, because if you go to a shelter and you don't have records for your pets, they're not going to let your pet go to the shelter. All kinds of extra things. If you got an extra pair of glasses, that's really important for those of us who are blind. You can do an inventory. The easiest way to do an inventory is to take your phone and go take a picture of everything before the storm, or take a video, walk around the outside of your house, walk through your garage, make sure you get the roof in the picture, and that all of the shingles are intact, and that all of the branches are still attached to the tree. Yeah, make sure all of that is reviewed, so that afterwards it makes things a lot easier. Here's another one, open the refrigerator, making sure what's in the refrigerator. Your insurance will reimburse you for spoiled food. Reason, and absolutely.
If you have the box check, check with your problems.
Right. Now is the time to do an insurance checkup. So get with your insurance agent, make sure you have wind and hail, flood, and all those things. If you're not in a flood zone, still get flood insurance, because Mother Nature doesn't see the lines on the map. They'll say, oh, he's in a flood zone, I'm not going on that property yet. It doesn't work that way. So make sure you have all of that. Coastal routes, we all try to go west, 95% of the parking lot. So if you have family between here and there, that's your best bet. If you don't leave early, the earlier you leave, the better off you are. Know that if Wilmington is anywhere in the bullseye, they turn 40, all of it going in the same direction out of Wilmington, and you're gonna get those people right up about here. So have a plan. Have a plan if you're playing, have a plan if you're leaving, have a plan if you're gonna leave and you know when you're coming back, or you're gonna wait and see, or if you're gonna go to family. Have a plan. So all of these things that you have to take to the shelter. Make sure that, they're only gonna have the basics. You need to entertain yourself, you need to have snacks and all that. If we're lucky, the Red Cross comes in and does the hot meals. Sometimes that happens, sometimes it's not too much. So make sure you have lots of things to take with you, make sure your phones are charged and all that before the power goes. Take your emergency kit. If you're evacuating, that whole pile of stuff that you have pulled together, take with you, because you don't know if you're gonna get cut off, you're going for an extended period. Make sure you have cash. those kind of things. Everything's in our packet. This is also in your packet. There are church findings. The AAT numbers are cell phone numbers. Tammy needs to, also need to, those are cell phone numbers. Everybody in town has my cell phone number, make sure you save it. And then these are the official sites. So these are the ones you want to look up. Hurricane Center, NOAA. Yamaco County has a code red fee. You can go to their website and sign up for that, and so if there's a mandatory evacuation in place, that will get sent to you. We are shortly after the beginning of July, going to a system called Text My Gov, which allows us to do the just Oriental. So we'll have that ability too. And you'll be able to sign up for just one emergency alert. I just want the events going on in town. I just want to know when the water's out. We'll be able to pick what you want to be notified about. All of those numbers are in that package. More information about websites and, COVID stuff up there, because you never know what's gonna happen. Just in case. Remember, if you go into a shelter with a bunch of people you don't know, a bunch of people you don't know. More trusted sources. All of that is on our website. And in the packages, does anybody have questions for me? Happy to answer. Graham.
I would love to have, and maybe there is online, a list of all our different places.
Okay,
Is there such?
there is not, but I can certainly drop them out.
Because somebody told me that the, Unifield Road, or way, there's an open area, they said that's like run, but I don't.
So the issues that I have with doing that is mostly if it's private property. So I have a hard time being able to say to you,
That's what I know.
no part of the Methodist church, I can stand here and do this. I can't really.
Yeah. I just, and that's a pretty,
It is, it gets full quick.
that's what I think of alternative places.
Call me, we'll let you know what is available that we are aware of. And we continue to add to those.
Okay.
So I'm concerned, like, if there's a warning, they're giving you a number of hours before it's gonna hit. Because part of me is thinking, if the hurricane's coming, I'm not watching pictures of my house, pile.
No, now's the time to do that.
Right, do everything in.
The insurance checkup, the cataloging of your house, and you can picture your refrigerator before you leave.
Generally, they're gonna say, like, you need to get out of here in the next hour or something, like how.
They're gonna give you a window. So we are now, and Eric's gonna go into this in depth, we are now able to track for a much longer heads up. And as the cone gets smaller, there's more likely a chance that you're gonna be one, so it's not gonna stop. Fix that, Charlie. Really better. Okay. Yeah, and he'll tell you more about that stuff. Yeah, it's not like a tornado where it just comes out of nowhere. You know it. We all know the hurricanes coming up. Anybody else? Sir?
Even then, it's a field,
We are connected to FEMA.
pardon?
We are connected to FEMA.
I said that because I lived with Sandoval for 15 years, been through 3 hurricanes, and I was building inspector. So FEMA has all kinds of things saying, and they are people.
They are. So FEMA runs national response, and then it runs to the states, and then it runs to counties. So once the governor declares, then the county emergency operations centers open up. And we in Oriental are professional at documenting and filing with FEMA. They have no fear.
Been there, done it.
Sometimes we need some assistance with hey, there's a tree down across this road. The first thing we do is clear the road so that I can get an ambulance to you. So the first thing we do is we, the staff, we all go out and we ride down every road in town. And anything that needs to be cut, they call it cut and shove. We cut and shove off the, road and we just, sorry, we're just gonna leave it sit there until we get to moving it further. But the first phase is cut and shove, and then we do damage assessment. We've done every single road, every single structure. We start taking information, doors will be open here all the time, take information, help you find resources, so it's like, sir,
Let's say we have very bad. Maybe something wrong with it. You have means of allowing the people who live here to get through places, because, on Sanibel, there was full with that other place. We had to be very careful. So they shut the bridges that, is that in your,
it is not.
at all?
I do not own that bridge belongs to NCDOT. They don't even know that we're here 90% of the time. So, they are not going to close this road down. We may put out, this road is underwater. My biggest issue is if I have water across the road, first of all, it's going to destroy the vehicle. But beyond that, you don't know that there's still a road under that running water. I mean, it's one thing to be swept off, you end up in the duck pond. It's about 5 feet. Pretty sure you can get out of that. But if it's open up to the harbor, that's a little more, plus the water's up 9 feet. So you're not getting out of that if the road disappears.
But I'm worried about after the hurricane passes.
The mayor can declare a curfew. If it is unsafe for you to be out of that,
Who stops the people from going out?
please.
I got it.
It's 2 of our guys and 20 of the sheriffs.
We had a pass.
We don't do passes. Nope, we don't do any of that. If you want to come in, we'll help you get your time to go. I understand what you're saying, but there's, the bridge in is not the bridge to escape from the hurricane. The bridge is in the wrong direction, so we're gonna go as far as we can go in the other direction.
Well, I'm worried about people coming in who don't belong here.
We always worry about people who come in. Yes, so police and sheriffs will be out and, you know, who works the rest of us. We'll be out monitoring who's out and about on the roads. That would be a case in which the mayor would declare a curfew so that there should not be anybody. Ma'am?
Question, is your services and your reaching and checking out after storms and things like that, is that just strictly in the village or how far is that?
Town limits, corporate limits. So we do all of Oriental, Old Town, and then as soon as we can get past the intersection of Straight Road and 55, no, Straight Road and White Farm, that's where that goes under. As soon as we can get there, we get there. Sometimes we take the back road to the Red Farm.
I know people that are in the places over like Berkshire, beaches, total, and that, we're kind of on the wrong way.
You are under the county's auspices. If there's an emergency and the wind is under 55 miles an hour, they will dispatch whoever's closest. So if our guys are closest, because a lot of times the county guys, the sheriff's deputies are in places that you go under, you know. They will dispatch whoever's closest and they know exactly where everybody is. So,
You mentioned, that if you wanted to volunteer to help out, who would volunteers?
us, me, Peter. But no, we did have a guy that went down after Florence went down Regent Street with a chainsaw and got it. That was hanging over the road, or in the road, or near the road, and did a whole road all by himself. Somebody else? If you have other questions after you do the material, feel free to email me. I'm going to do one-liners. Just know that if you're expecting a response from me, my email is there, manager. So sometimes I end up in your junk. Okay? Gotta take all the thunder?
Is there, okay, I'm sure that some people won't say because they're elevated or something.
Never evacuate.
Is there a way that they contact you and say, we're going to stay in the house?
Absolutely.
And that's what they should be doing.
I usually have a spreadsheet full of people who tell me I'm staying or I'm going, and here's my contact information. This is where I left my car. I have a fishbowl that is usually full of keys. People will leave their house keys, leave their car keys, and with a tag on it that says, this is the black Subaru that's sitting on the United Methodist Church lot. I mean, never lived it. I can't in Philadelphia. You don't do that. So, I mean, you do it once and then never do that again. But people are, this is the best place in the world to be in charge, to be in need. This community is amazing. And they rally around, and before you can say what you need, somebody's at your front door. So, am I telling the truth? Absolutely. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me, phone, email, I'm more than happy to.
Eric. That was an awesome presentation. It really was.
Yeah.
And that's not just saying it, they actually put it in. I noticed about a quarter of you had raised your hand and had not been through hurricane season. So it can be a little overwhelming when you look at the list, you gotta do this, this, and that. Just break it into small chunks, do something today, do something tomorrow. And the something today, these envelopes are awesome. Make sure from the town that you have this. That's your first step. I believe today, North Carolina has these hurricane guides. A lot of what I'm talking about is in here. So you're not doing it alone. You're not doing it all today or tomorrow. For the next couple of weeks and month, get your stuff together. Just break it into small parts. For those that are just joining us, my name is Eric Hayden. I'm the warning coordination meteorologist with the National Weather Service out of Newport. Really the liaison between the community and the Weather Service itself. My two assistants, Mr. Christian and Mr. Matthew, two of my three kids, they like to come around and help out. So again, grab this information if you haven't already done so. Excellent presentation. Some of it I'm going to recover, but pretty quickly and go on to some other stuff. You're in very good hands. You are in a vulnerable location. Your responsibility is to prepare each and every year. And then you get to enjoy days like today. We brought you today's weather, by the way.
You finally got it right.
That's right. All bad weather, that's somebody else. So I try to break it up to just a few things. Do one thing tonight, tomorrow, the next day to be prepared for the season. At least one thing. Focus on the impacts. When we're talking about tropical cyclones, I'll explain what that means. Water is what kills people. Water, water, water. And never, ever, ever just focus on the categories of storm. And Diane did a great job with that. We'll continue to hammer that home on subsequent slides as well. So our website is a great way to get information. As Diane talked about credible sources. We do have the local news. We have the weather channel. There's tons of information out there. If you want to focus on official sources, I can pay the same today to do this talk as I do during Florence or Irene or any of the storms we've had. So when we say it's going to be catastrophic or it's going to be really bad, it's not to scare you, it's because we care about you. That's why we come over here to do these talks. So focus on official sources of information. You'll see a lot of stuff on social media. As soon as we get anything out in the Atlantic Ocean, you're going to hear about it. But focus on the official sources and you'll stay updated without the scariness of it. Our website is great. Bruce knows I love jokes. So our joke with this is if it's the weather you love, it's weather.gov. That's all you need to remember. But honestly, if you just remember weather.gov, if you move away, you go on vacation this summer, weather.gov will bring you to the United States now. Just click on your area of interest. So for us, click on Eastern North Carolina and you're good to go.
The National Weather Service out of Newport, the one that Eric works with, also has a fabulous Facebook page that we link everything from them in a weather event to ours. So even if you don't, I get people don't like it, you can just be a ghost out there and watch it. If they put out an update, we throw it out there, word for word.
We're gonna highlight the social media as well. So weather forecasts, preparedness, there's a hurricane icon at the bottom. You can get the hurricane cone, the forecast, everything from this one spot. So you just want one website, weather.gov/report. You can scan that QR code. You have no idea what that funny thing is. These gentlemen, after the class tonight, can show you.
We got them tags.
The Hurricane Center, that is part of the National Weather Service. We all work together, and you can get the information from our local page as well. But if you just want to go to the national site, it's hurricanes.gov. They are the folks in conjunction with us that issue the watches and the warnings and the storm surge. And then at the local level, we personalize it and make it localized for Oriental or Pamlico County or New Bern. So that's kind of how that works. One of the ladies up front said, am I going to know, how far out will I know? Traditionally it's 48 hours with a watch, 36 hours with a warning. And usually it's even longer than that. You are going to know when something comes off the coast of Africa and we're tracking it. But one thing to make you feel comfortable, each day I would start looking at this. Hurricanes.gov on the Hurricane Center page, it's from the center, goes out to 7 days now. It will show you where we might have a storm in the next 7 days. Just get your cup of coffee in the morning, check it for 30 seconds, and move on with your day. You don't worry about it. You just say, hey, is there anything going on next week? Nope. Move it along. Oh, there's something off the coast of Africa. Let me just pay attention to this. Don't anchor on it. Don't say, hey, it was going to go this way, and I don't think, make sure you check back for updates. But just once a day, I would highly encourage you to look at this. It is updated 4 times a day. It's called the Tropical Weather Outlook. A couple other features on the website. Raise your hand if you're familiar with this forecast cone. So most of us, even if you haven't been through hurricane season, you have seen this if you've seen any hurricane coverage on the news. This conveys the most likely track of the center of the storm. 2/3 of the time, it's going to be in that path. 1/3 of the time, we could be wrong. More recently, we've been extremely accurate with the track. It's based on 5 years worth of data. So you will notice this cone, unlike Mr. Eric, who ate at Brantley's with the kids before I get here, is on a diet. This cone continues to get smaller and smaller and smaller with each passing year. Has nothing to do with storm size, has nothing to do with the current storm. It's based on error. So 5 days it's this wide, and 4, 3, 2, 1. And by day 1, we usually know where it's going. So the problem with this is people think it's an in or out. Hey, I'm in the cone, I'm really worried. I'm out of the cone, don't have to worry about it. It's not that. A hurricane's not a dot. This just shows where we think the center of the storm is going to go. If you're anywhere in the general vicinity, you should pay attention. It doesn't tell you how much rain you're going to have. It doesn't show what the wind speed will be. This is just a should I be paying attention graphic. And the point of emphasis is it can occur hundreds of miles outside of this cone. When Lawrence hit down by Wilmington, New Bern and our area, we were in the cone as we got closer. Were we impacted? Yes. Scientifically, were we correct? Did the center go right to Whitetail Beach? We had a 5-mile error 5 days out. Extremely accurate. But they're hiring more people like me to communicate the risks because as accurate as we can be, if you misunderstand it or don't know what it means, it's not worth anything. So it has a lot of value, but if it's anywhere from Florida up through Delaware, you should be paying attention. If it's over to Texas, maybe not. But again, you'll see it will adjust. You should be paying attention if this is anywhere near us. A couple other graphics on the hurricane site. Like every day, check out what's going to happen. Hurricane track cone is extremely important. There's some newer graphics, time of arrival for tropical storm force winds. I think to answer your point, you're going to have on the left, Christian, is showing the, don't show that yet. On the left is like, when is it going to get here? So I'm making a decision to leave or not. When is the most likely time those winds are going to get here? You have plenty of information. Your challenge is to make that decision on what you want to do. And that's what we're going to follow in a second. The scarier looking one is the one on the right. I think that's a category 5 storm, like the worst case scenario. And I just wanted to show you, not to scare you, but the interesting feature of 306. If you're new to the area, That's roughly like 30 to 40 feet above sea level, and as you get just east of that highway, it's very low. So that's where we live
So the
today.
folks over here in Arapahoe.
Yes.
Are on a bluff.
So that's going like the worst case. I wanted to highlight that it's all about the terrain or lack of terrain where we are in the low-lying area. We are vulnerable, and Ms. Diane talked about the Know Your Zone campaign, and that's all based on those types of things. So that's why there's evacuation zones and things like that. But if there's a storm, hopefully we don't see it like that. There'll be a map showing you potential worst-case scenario surge. It's not everybody will see that, but we want people to make decisions based on that, so you can come back next year and say, hey, you were wrong. It's gonna be right somewhere, like in Newburgh and here, it was correct. So let's keep that in mind. Ms. Diane mentioned this, so weather.gov, weather.gov. Social media is extremely powerful. I know it's polarizing, but you can all help in this room. Unless you share good information, then everything is out there. We're competing against everybody. So when you see a tropical weather outlook, share it with the community, just like the town is doing. When you see this graphic, I did this tweet.
Yes.
Yes.
NWS.
And so just search NWS Warhead City. So whatever your social media favorite platform, YouTube, Facebook, I still call it Twitter, Instagram. For those that just came, as long as the recording works, we will edit it up. It'll be me and Miss Diane, so just kind of this general view of this, you will not be on it. We will post it to YouTube. So share it with your neighbors. If you missed part of it, you can scroll back. We posted that on our YouTube channel. You can see past years so that you can view it again. So we use social media very powerfully. I did that tweet the morning of Florence because we were getting phone calls about asking, should I come back? Is it not going to be as bad because it's a 1 instead of a 4? And then we use words like catastrophic flooding to really convey that. Not a lot had changed in terms of our impact. So website information is a good place to start. Another good one is our website. Just add hurricane prep to it. So just if you're familiar with our website, weather.gov/Warhead City or /Newport or click on Eastern North Carolina. If you add hurricane prep to it, I'm a little biased because I made this website, but it's all there. The graphics in Spanish for the deaf and hard of hearing, hurricane kit, how to prepare your home, what should you have in your kit, a lot of links that Diane shared to the state, checklists, everything we can think of is here. So planning now is the key. It can be overwhelming unless you break it into parts. And if you remember anything, it is a lot less stressful to plan on May 22nd when it's sunny and 80 than the storm's approaching. We will run out of stuff. People will get stressed. Think about when you make decisions in your life. You make good ones when you're stressed? Not usually. So do it for the next couple of weeks. Then that's one thing you don't have to worry about. So please use this website as much as you can. I'll break hurricane preparedness down into 3 easy steps. The first step is you need to know what your risk is. Where are you vulnerable? Are you down by the water? Did you flood in Irene and Florence? You're vulnerable to water. Are you in an open exposed area to the wind? It's beyond weather. You have elderly living in your home. You have young kids, and now my mom's down in Swansboro. You have 2 families to think about to evacuate out of the room. You have an old cat like we do. Rocky's 20 and a half, so he needs to be, he's still kicking. I have used Rocky in the story for 8 years now. Honestly, you got to think of everybody, all of that. It's not that scary. It's just kind of keep that in your mindset. For me, once the family's out of town, if I lose electric, it's just uncomfortable. I'm not on oxygen or something that you are relying on electricity. I can pick up, well, I gotta say for the storms. These guys can pick up and I can ship them off somewhere. Some people financially can't do it or mobility wise can't do it. So that's what you need to think about is what is your risk? Weather wise, health wise, household wise, what is your risk? And it's gonna come into factor here in a second. So now that you determine your risk, everybody needs to do step 2 and 3. Step 2 is like Ms. Diane said, making your kit. At least 3 days, that's very minimum. Very minimum. Try up to a week would be best. Things are out. So even though the roads might open back up and the stores come out, did they lose all their food because they didn't have power or a generator? They're not gonna just get stuff back right away. So being able to be on your own for at least 3 days, if not up to a week, is extremely important. And this is the part of the plan, like if you're like, I'm never gonna leave, all right, you better really focus on step 2 to be able to be on your own. And then consider your whole family, young kids, elderly, pets, whoever, prescription drugs, those kinds of things, make sure you have on hand. Yes.
I just recently got a tip about prescriptions that I wanted to share.
Sure.
And that is, take your bottles, don't put them out 3 days or a week. Because if you don't do that and you can't be allowed back in that 3 days to a week for whatever reason, you might have just renewed your prescription 2 weeks before. Your pharmacist is not going to give you another prescription. You know, it has to go to the doctor. So you can be days without your meds. So just take the bottles.
And the bottles so that you might be able to go to like another farm or just.
Well, because you will have your whole remaining prescription
I-
and all the information.
And I was going to repeat that for the online audience and the recording, to take your prescription bottles with you, so you've got everything, take them all, you may as well. That's great. And then the other one I like to stress, supplies will run out. If you don't see, everybody gets water.
It's amazing.
It's gone. So get it down.
Liquor stores are empty and water stores.
I promise. And the other thing is, I'm very fortunate, I could get my kids tomorrow, I want to get everything. We all can't do that. So if somebody's struggling in the community, break it into parts. You get your canned goods this week, next month is bottled water, whatever it is. You spread out the financial impact, and then you make sure that you're actually doing it. So this is why we're talking about in May. You've got time to do this. So step 2 is a kid. Everybody needs to do that. Everybody needs to consider, where would you go? Even those that say, I'm never gonna leave, at least have an option of where you would go. I like to take 2 places to evacuate. I'm not against Raleigh, but a lot of people like to go just a little bit into Kinston or Goldsboro. Depending on the storm, they could be more impacted than us. Fran, Florence, some areas flooded, Matthew, again, they can have more impacts, just depending on how it stacks up. So I like the north or south route. I grew up in Maryland. My parents lived just south of Baltimore, so that's where the kids would go. Well, my parents moved down here 2 years ago, so plan A is gone. So plan B is the family in Columbia, South Carolina. So that's plan B. And plan C is really go to Dollywood or not. Don't get too excited, not Disney World. Means me, just go take a vacation. I know we can't all afford to be luxury, so they haven't done that yet. You do not want to be in the shelter. Ms. Diane was talking about some of the challenges, with what happens in the shelter. You want to be with the family that comes down here, visits through the summer, Payback in Ohio or New Jersey or Maryland. Go visit them. Hotels, if you don't have family nearby, go have ones that can take pets if you have pets. Tell you, you have this plan now, plan A and B. Then when you need to make that decision, you know what to do. Hey, I'm moving, because I'm really vulnerable to water and I just want to get out of here. It's not comfortable without AC. There's a lot of reasons people do stay, protect the property, get things back up in order. We can replace your house, we cannot replace you. I've seen it over and over again with Florence. I had neighbors that stayed and neighbors that went. And eventually their house was made whole again, very similar timelines. In some cases, the ones that left got it quicker because insurance came through quicker. A lot of stuff is out of your hands. We can replace your house, we cannot replace you. So please at least consider a place to go so that if it is really bad, you know where to go, you're not called off at the last minute. So should you really do this, kid? Come on here. Do we really get storms around here? For the quarter of you that have not been through a hurricane season, we are the most prone coastline in the entire United States. Most prone. Now, part of it, we do stick out, so the Alleghenies do count. It's not just here in Oriental, although we are shared storms. If it is, Nat said, Harris, they stick out, so that is part of it. But again, it's our responsibility to do this. We live in an awesome place. Yes, we get storms. Some years we don't. It's just, all you have to do is make sure you have a plan, a kit, a place to go, and then you move on with your life. And if they come, you're ready to do what you need to do. So it is
Hey, Eric,
something to consider.
can you talk about making the decision to leave and doing that early?
Yes. So at the weather service, we don't tell you to leave or not. We provide you with the forecasts, and the town, the county especially, will activate the know your zone, the evacuation zones. But like with these folks in Florence, at Carteret, Onslow, Craven, whole county evacuations, I don't think we had ever had that before. They were already out of here before that. Leave early, if the storm is and you have to come back to blue skies, so be it. The earlier you leave, ahead of traffic, you don't want to get stuck on the road, everybody else is going to be doing it as well. So early decisions, and it starts today, like where would you go? And then you can make that decision when it comes. You're going to know about it. Some stores are going to be different, but Florida's 5 days out, we knew we were in it. No watches that far out, but when you see day after day after day, it's going to hit us, it's going to hit us, it's going to hit us. It's pretty easy to decide whether or not to stay. But the earlier you can make that decision, the better. And it goes down to your risk. If you have a lot of risk, you're vulnerable, you might need to make that decision earlier. Yes.
And what about when it's too late? What's the point of the day of the storm? Like when it's, the water's rising, at what point do you just, when it's late?
So when it's too late is when those winds start to pick up and you made that decision, because emergency services, a lot of first responders, they're not going to respond once the wind gets up to a certain threshold. So when you make that decision, you've got your kit, that's your 3, hopefully 7-day supply. You hunker down. You want things like your cell phone to be charged and turned on. You want your no weather radio or backup battery powered radio so you can get warnings. You know the storm's coming, but there's other things like tornadoes that you have. You're not going to be out shopping, but you might want to get to the lower level of your home. Be prepared to seek higher ground in your home, especially in our area because of the water issues, and pretty much just stay put. Because we're going to talk about water. Most of our deaths are, it's not that the water came up and you didn't know about it. It's crossing roads, being out in the storm. So just stay put. You made a decision, stay put, and then, hopefully, if it works out, it's not as bad, and that type of thing. So when should you prepare? Hurricane season officially starts June 1st. We're equal opportunity here in North Carolina. We've had storms as early as May. They tend to peak, this graphic shows that they peak about the 10th of September. Does anybody know why does it peak in September? I mean, it's after Labor Day, kids are back in school. Why is it so late in the year? Does anybody know the science behind that? Water temperature. We got a bunch of meteorologists in here. So when the young people, I talk about how water has a high peak capacity, it takes a long time to warm up, it takes a long time to cool down. So peak water temperature in September. I still wish I could find the person in 2018 that asked me in late August, wow, it looks like we're not going to make it through any, we're not going to have any storms this year. Before I hit this, we're not going to see the peak of water temperature middle of September, 10th, 9th, something like that. So, yeah, we tend to get our big ones late August into September, even going back through the history, that's when our big ones are. We can have storms early in the season. They're usually not as strong because the water is not as warm. And then we can have it well into the month of October, like we did with Matthew and Sandy. So from this day forward through October, we can be struck. And it just increases day by day, but especially on this graph, August 1st to like September 15th, or really August 1st to September 30th. That window, that's really can be bad. So, we're vulnerable. You probably knew about the kid. Mr. Eric, are you going to teach me anything new? This is what I'm going to teach you new. It's the messaging challenge of actually listening to what we're saying and believing it could be that bad. A lot of focus is on the category. And the camera's not on you, so don't be shy or raise your hand when I ask this question. Have you, or especially your significant other, said, I'm not gonna leave unless it's at least a 2 or a 3. I'm not gonna leave. So that's pretty good. So nobody said, so this is a well-traveled audience with our story. So a lot of people say, even people that have been here for a long time, Eastern North Carolina, I'm not leaving unless it's a 2 or 3 or 4. The category is only based on wind. I'm not saying to ignore it. I'm not saying living in Cape Carteret, 3 miles, as a crow flies from the ocean, that category 4 Florence worried. It's only part of the puzzle, it's not the whole puzzle. We've had a lot of ones as reminders, and that's why this audience knows that. Ophelia, 05, not the tropical storm that was last fall. Irene, especially here. Matthew, Florence, especially here. Just once. And even tropical storms, like recently in Ophelia, in 03, Hermine in 16, 200 and 200, almost 200 deaths, $200 billion in damage for just once. So for the new folks, it's not all about the number. You know, you don't have to be a meteorologist to know you have a tropical storm and get 30 inches of rain, that's going to be a problem. So that just emphasizes it's not just the number. So we changed this graphic. It used to be a nice little pie chart, and as a meteorologist, I said, wow, that looks great. It shows 90% of our fatalities are water related. I'm a scientist, that's why I like the pie chart. I changed it to this. This is our area. This is our area during Irene, which is just a 1. So up to the north of the Pamlico River, it's here in Oriental, up the road in New Bern, Highway 55. And then as we come over the lovely bridge, as we came over the ferry today, that's toward the downtown. So yeah, water. The majority of deaths, almost 90%, are water related. Could a tree fall on your house and injure you or kill you? Yes. Does wind kill people? Yes. But traditionally, it's less than 10%. That's what the category is rated on. It's not rated on, the category says nothing about how much rain we're going to have, how large the storm is, how long it's going to sit over us. Water. Whether it's storm surge, the case here in Oriental, rip currents, or even just flooding. In Florence, to emphasize this, we lost 15 people in the whole state. 11 of the 15 were water related. All 11 were in vehicles. That's a preventable death, just like you have your smoke left, detector at home. Never drive through a flood in the road. Past experience in anchoring, those are other communication challenges. There's our map from Florence. We got a decent amount of rain here in Oriental, but the heavy rain is south, but you got the surge. But if you're up in the Outer Banks, you might just say, Florence, I made it. Florence, it wasn't that bad. You didn't get hit with it. There's Irene, the map of Irene. It was just a one, but large storm, slow moving, really bad here. So a lot of people didn't think Florence would be as bad because they've been through a lot of storms, especially down in Moran City. It had been a long time since we were on that right side of the storm. A lot of storms kind of brush us and they go out to sea. And if you're on the left side of the storm, it tends to be a lot weaker. So like Dorian for us in 2019 was not much, unless we lived on an overcoat and you're on the right side of the storm. So a lot of people had been near storms and thought, oh, I've been through it all. But it kind of bit them that they hadn't been through the right side of the storm. And the other one is anchoring. You don't need to check every minute. You're going to want to, but just once or twice a day, check. Things do change. We try not to do the windshield wiper effect where it's going to hit here and it's hit here. You'll see slow trends with the cone. So stay, check back for updates. You don't need to be crazy with it, but don't just anchor in one forecast and say, well, 5 days ago it wasn't supposed to hit here, and then now I'm surprised. So just check back. Post-storm is also very important. We're doing a really good job pre-storm. People are, in this audience, you don't have to focus on the category. You're doing a good job. New folks are hearing it. Don't let your guard down afterwards. You've got this beautiful kit. You've evacuated. You've done your thing. Don't rush that. Don't cross flooded roads. Don't go around barricades. That's where we lost a couple people in Newton County, going around things. If you got a nice new generator, know how to use it, not in a closed space. Again, a lot of people are nodding their head. Of course, we lose people to carbon dioxide every year. Electrocutions, using it near water. You don't want to go through that storm water. It's nasty. People have had issues with infections and wounds and so forth. Don't go on that. If you haven't been in a ladder, don't go up on a ladder. Give a younger person or somebody else. Go up on a ladder. Heart attacks, you don't do a lot of physical labor, you don't go up there and try to pick up every branch right away. Just take care of yourself. Recovery can take days, months, and years for some of us. It's a long process. Don't rush it. Don't let your guard down after the storm. That's very important. So this is how we're going to end. If I'm telling you not to focus on the category, we want you to focus on impacts. I don't even know if the official outlook is out. I realized when Mr. Bruce called me today and I was putting in finishing touches. This is a similar talk we give every year, but I try to make it a little bit different, but new pictures or something for the people that come. But you'll notice I don't have a hurricane outlook in here. I don't even know if it's out yet. When it comes out, it's going to be a busy year. I was up in Columbia in an antique shop killing some time between the elementary school visit and the high school visit I did a couple weeks ago. The guy tweets me and said, "But you say that every year it's going to be busy." And I teed them back and I said, well, have you looked to see what actually happened? And then he kind of said, yeah, I guess it was busy, but it did hit here. And I said, well, we don't know if it's gonna hit here. It's gonna be a busy year. The water's warm. We're transitioning to a neutral or a La Nina phase. Everything's lining up for it to be a busy year. I can't tell you if it's gonna hit here or not. And that's why we don't emphasize the outlook. Because I could say it's the windiest hurricane season ever. And it could be one storm, and scientifically I would be right. Windiest storm, year, just one storm. But if it's a force and it hits tornado, it's bad. So we really want you to prepare each and every year. If you got young kids like me, that means, we eat through that hurricane kit in December, January, and February. We forget to go to the grocery store, we just go in the kit. So you just restock it, get your new canned goods, and then you're ready for the following year. So every year you should be doing the same thing, regardless of what that outlook says. It's real accurate. It's not that I don't think it's accurate. It just doesn't help us. Until I can tell you we're gonna get 3 storms in Oriental, once it's produced 10 inches of rain, I'd be a millionaire. So that's not gonna happen. Was there a question? Yes.
I just saw Colorado. Double.
It's gonna be busy. It's a little frustrating to me that we're so slow with the outlook because so many people asked for it, and now Colorado and I forget the other ones. But it'll be out in the next week or so, and it's gonna be just as busy. But if anything, I just hope it makes people prepare maybe a little earlier this year. But really, we should be doing the same thing each year.
Yeah, I'm just, in my mind, I'm thinking, so last time I heard it was the worst in Uber, like it massive surge, and most of us have to go over that bridge to get, like all the people that would hook me up or Raleigh, did they tell you these roads are bad, go on these roads, you just find the weather services type of telling you?
So there's NCDOT has a map that's fairly well updated, but it just depends. The bridge over the news is fine, that thing is real high. But you just don't go to downtown Uber or River filter Harvard or those areas. So you'll learn, there's certain roads you can take, but again, go back to ahead of time. You're not going to be evacuated in the storm. I don't know for sure, like my feeling for Dorian just went, if you go over the big bridge to the north, they went before like Williamston and cut over. Highway 70 in Kingston, days and weeks after could be closed once the news river gets high. But then it's not like doesn't just come up like that, you're gonna know. You just get out of town early and stay there. It's hard to come back sometimes.
So at what point does the city say you really need to leave? 36 hours? Is that normally?
You're usually making a call that says catastrophic. If he says the word catastrophic, we are asking you to leave. And it's not my decision, it's not Sally's decision, it comes from the state and the county, FEMA.
It's usually at least a day and a half to 2 days.
Couple days.
Yeah.
Especially something like that. Florence, I think it was 9 feet was a surge. I mean,
We were up to the top step of this building.
Was it higher in Florence than Irene here?
It was pretty close.
So I mean, you're gonna know,
I feel like we should just go to 306 and wait it out, but that doesn't, because it's red all over.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yes.
One very important thing, items that really get out of town by mosquito control.
That's on our list. It's in that package. I have 2 things.
Yes.
One is, everybody wants to collect. Everybody wants to get out as soon as it stops. A lot of people try to get out in the eye of the storm, because the wind goes down to nothing. And then it comes back at full speed from the opposite direction, which is when you are most vulnerable to flying debris. Because everything's been blowing out for the last 8 hours. Now it stops and it's going to go full force in the other direction. That's when you get the flying debris and people really get hurt. So we ask that you stay in, and then when it's all over, we'll tell you when it's safe. Stay in. Don't go out to see which roads are flooded, where they're cheap. That's what we do. That's what we pay money for. We'll go out there, move the trees, do everything that we need you to be safe. The other thing that you touched on was the bacteria in the water. When we get this surge, we lost one resident and two have long sustained repeated infections from getting cut by something that went by them or they were trudging through and not getting it cleaned up properly fast enough. And we're all old. I mean, you're not old. We're old.
It was
smart. Yeah, and so, stay out of it. Make sure that, you know, you look like an idiot in your front yard with waders on, but there's a good reason for it. And, you know, when you're stomping in and it's saturated, if you have to get out there and do it, make sure you have the rubber gloves and the, you know, the oyster gloves and the, at least, knee-high boots. Just don't let that water into anything.
That's good. And you reemphasize the point, you know, hurricane's not a dot on the map. We talked about that. Also, like she mentioned, in terms of longevity, just it's the whole second half of the storm when the eye goes over us. We're only halfway through. So don't rush, just hunker down and stay put.
And eat all those great stuff. And you have things like, wow.
So we're gonna end with, we say not to focus on the category, we're gonna end on the impacts. So first, rainfall flooding, anytime we get heavy rain, so where we stand now for new folks, and I looked at Google Maps, I hope I got this right. I mean, this is right out front, Broad Street.
Yep.
2011.
That, the building on the right, the brick building on the right is the church annex.
So 2011, it got at least that high in Florence, right? Maybe, so similar.
So the building on the left was this building. It was an old firehouse. At grade, at street level. Yeah, way underwater. So when they rebuilt this building, they, because it had the super high ceilings from being a firehouse back in the day, they filled in the bottom 4 feet and raised the whole thing toward a new foundation.
So the red building on the left.
That's us.
That's us, okay.
And so at this point, you see, we're hard up to the chair rail. The electric is above the chair rail. At the doors, there are not mats, there are grates with pumps in them. So if anything comes in the exterior doors, it is pumped right back out. So this building is as close to hurricane proof as we could get it, but because of that storm.
And a couple key points, you know, storm surge, it's a big deal where we are with the News River, especially the way it narrows up toward New Bern. And the boys were kind of surprised. I love that ferry. Come over to the ferry. This is awesome. If you have not done the ferry, and it's my price. I love my price. It's free. I'll never forget the first time I took the kids to the Fossil Museum. And we drive down 306, and I'm searching for money. I don't have cash. I'm getting worried. And I can believe it's free, but if you haven't done it, it's excellent. But coming over, they were just so surprised when you see the mouth of the new storm in Pamlico Sound, just how extensive it is. It's a huge body of water. All that water coming at us, it's extremely shallow. So Irene, you know, made landfall over us, take a look out and it came right over us and produced that. One storm. And Florence didn't hit anywhere, I mean, it hit near here, but it was down in Wilmington, and it simply produced that same thing. Both category 1 storms. Yes.
So those brought 9 feet of water in some cases and so forth, category 1. If it's a category 4, how can this water go?
So you remember that map I showed in the beginning was all red? I mean, so if we got up to 9, it could be, you know, up to 15 feet probably. It could be reasonable. Yeah. We can look, and I can look individual, there's worst case scenario maps. You know, a reasonable worst case scenario up here would probably be a 3. I would never say that you can't have a 4, but like looking at Hazel and some of the storms that are past, probably a 3. I mean, that's very, if we had a 3 that may impact it, like Cape Lookout and we're on the right side of the storm, I can pull it up for you, but I would say if we got 9 of that, it could be up to like 15. So yeah, I mean, I told one of the new people in our office, 3 is very reachable. It's been a long time. Last 3 we had in North Carolina was Franklin. That's 96, the year before I graduated high school. It's been a long time. So, yeah.
That hurt. Anybody else that hurt?
So, if you get that amount of, wind pushing water, we get surge, and that's probably our biggest vulnerability where we live here in Oriental. Flooding is a concern as well, just because we're low lying, you get that extensive rain, but also inland areas, cutting out your evacuation routes if you decide to leave last minute, or especially if you want to come back. Cars can float in less than 2 feet of water, so it does not take a lot to float a car, and it's not based on category. Again, category, only how strong will the winds be, doesn't say how many inches of rain you're gonna have, how long does it stay over you, and so forth. So we always like.
That's my favorite picture.
Yeah, we like to use this visual. So, and even some of the young people, and we did a lot of school visits here up in Bay Grove a couple weeks ago. And we tried to explain to them, there are a lot of fifth graders is who we do, and I've got 16-year-old. So I tell them, this snap of your fingers, you're gonna be driving, and they kind of look at me, you know how kids grow up very, very quick. So I say that, water is extremely powerful. Just 2 feet can float a car, and I'll say, the teacher and I, we're real strong, but we can't lift the car, and the water can just do that very easily. But we also don't know what is not underneath that. Go ahead, Christian. And what might not be underneath it is the road. Every time, this is an oldie but a goodie. And the reason you have that huddle pipe that's going under the road, and they're built for, you guys have heard of a 100-year flood or 500-year flood. That's just, it's not, hey, we got one, we're good for another 100 years. It's a 1 in 100 chance any year, a 1 in 500 chance any year. Just like you can buy 2 scratch-off tickets and you can win 2 in a row. So these roads are designed for a certain capacity, and sometimes they're exceeded. When that happens, it's scoured out. Yes, sir?
Where can I get that so I can show my 22-year-old?
So at the end, I have my email, and that's who we're trying to reach. And I say that the 5th grade level and Miss Tammy are one of 3 kids. She'll be getting her license any day now, emphasizing that. We're not talking puddles, we're talking a little bit of water. And around here, a lot of it is more standing, because we don't have the terrain. But still, you don't know what's underneath. This is near Snow Hill. We have other examples in Florence, South Florida.
So one thing I just want to point out how I'm looking at this.
Yes.
So that first 72, and I can't help you, is because of these kinds of things. We're around trying to make sure that we are sustaining potable water. And we're cutting off with the Florence coming in, we're cutting off all your duct meters, all your irrigation meters, get a choice. And then immediately we're checking to see if the levels in our tanks are dropping precipitously, that they should not be, indicating that we've got something big working somewhere.
Are you supposed to fill up your cup? Are you supposed
You are supposed to fill up your tub to be able to flush the toilet if the water goes out. Keeping in mind that the Oriental water system was the only system east of I-55 that did not use pressure at the water. We have a good crew, and we were on the road, cutting off water. We were just, trying to fill up the news with clean, treated water.
This picture always gets you. So if they want to turn around, go around, more than half of that's just in the country, overall, not just hurricanes, are vehicles, so you never cross a flooded road. So when you get that amount of water, you have flash flooding, which is your hours to a day or two. And then inland from us, we've got rivers, this is the Tar River, and then also Trent River in Jones County. So as you come back, it's nice out 3-4 days later, just plan your trip wisely. You might want to come from the north, it depends on 17, South Williamson, as long as that area is not flooded. But Highway 70 in Kinston and some of those areas will flood. And again, it's not going to just come up, the road will be closed. So you might have to take a different route coming back. And we've already hit on the flooding depths. Second to last are rim currents. We're not directly to the beach here, but we lost more lives in 2019 because of Hurricane Lorenzo than Dorian. Dorian caused 7 feet of storm surge in Oakland, just a few feet above sea level, so really bad. Lorenzo was a distant Category 5 storm, 2,000 miles away. I'm mentioning this because when young people go to the beach or families are visiting, a distant storm can produce rip currents, or well ahead of a Florence can produce rip currents. And think about it, if you put the big bucks down at the beach house, you're there all week, the storm's not hitting until Friday, You're getting your Saturday night in, your Sunday, your Monday, your Tuesday. I don't blame you. But just keep in mind, just because it's sunny out, that large swell can reach our beaches. This is how you can help us. We share this on Facebook. Just by you sharing it, and we're really trying to emphasize like Memorial Day weekend, July 4th, where it's really crowded. It coincides with good weather, but large swell. That's when we're losing people. So on average, we've lost 10 people per year at North Carolina beaches. This has been significantly reduced in our area because of outreach like this. Rip currents are not to be afraid of. They pull you out. They do not pull you under. It's a break-in sandbar. Surfers use them to go out to the wave, and then they take the wave in. So I tell young people not to be afraid of, just respect it. You feel yourself being pulled out, swim left or right. These guys always have a boogie board with them. You're going to want to go in after somebody that is having trouble. It's much better to direct them left or right out of the rip current. A lot of our deaths are the second person going in. So swim at a light-guarded beach, red flag is flying. You should be really much deeper than your calf muscles. Very preventable, but it's not like a thunderstorm that you can see and hear. Unless you really know what you're looking at, it's hard to see. This is the second last. Wind, strong winds obviously can cause damage. It's based solely on the maximum wind speed. The point of emphasis with this is this, these storms can really wobble us, Miss Diane said, just a little bit. And it can be right in the cabinet. We could be perfect with the cone, and a difference of 5, 10, 15 miles in meteorology is not a huge difference, but it's a big difference in your backyard. So this is Hurricane Arthur, not really a huge deal. It was a Category 2 storm. It hit pretty much the same location as Irene, but it was smaller and faster moving. So it hit here, which is where Irene hit, but it was a quicker moving storm, and it really just impacted the Outer Banks, 100-mile-per-hour winds. But due to our coastline being east-west like this, just a 20 or 30-mile shift west, which is nothing, and it hits by Bogue Inlet, you know, this is where I live over in western Carter County. If it hits over here, then you're on the right side of the storm even more than you would have 100-mile-per-hour. Just a small shift. So you make a decision to stay, it's not a problem. You know, some of them won't be an obvious one like Florence, but just recognize you choose to stay. This is the path we want. You might not get days notice for exactly what's going to happen. There are going to be slight variations, and that's Mr. Eric's biggest concern. We're well prepared as a community. The forecast is going to be accurate, but little wobbles matter. And we have not had a storm strengthen a category before it gets here. So we do tell people to try to prepare for a category stronger than it is. So there's going to be a time, and we have an Arthur that's a 2, and it's, you know, shift a little bit to the west, and we're called off guard. You'll still know it's coming. You'll more than likely still be under hurricane warning, but you will not have anticipated how bad it can be. So just keep in mind that that's well within the range of accuracy and science. It's going to happen. Last but not least, this is the last slide. I will never forget this one, because truth be told, evacuating is extremely hard. So a tale of 2 stories. 2018, these guys are out of here 4 days in advance. Going in, we weren't sure what to do because it says highly likely it's going to remain off the coast. We're going to be on the left side, but I'm more of a risk adverse person, and I just kind of want them to go. But our family really didn't decide to leave until it was getting close, like those outer bands. And I think they had already left at this point. When I go into the conference room and see that photo that's Bogue up here, a video, it looks like Kansas. We get tornadoes, we usually don't see video like that. It's a water spout, it is on water. It came inland and caused some damage to Emerald Isle. The point of emphasis is, it was like 18 hours before the Sentinel got up here by Overcoat. So those first outer bands, as they reach, if you decide to stay or leave, you hunker down or you do what you're gonna do. You should have ways to get warnings that can produce enhanced damage. At Hermine, we had some bad tornadoes. That was just a tropical storm. If it's fitting, you can get tornadoes out. So again, in Florence, all the way up to Richmond, they had tornadoes days after. So just keep that in mind. So I think our presentation is pretty decent. But one thing at this point, I feel, especially for new people, it's a little overwhelming. Yeah, new hurricanes are bad. I didn't realize. I knew surge and maybe rainfall, but I didn't realize tornadoes, rip currents. Where did I move to? Most of the year is fantastic. We can get the same thing with nor'easters in the wintertime. So we're year round here in East North Carolina. We live by water. All we need is a little bit of wind over a long period of time or long fetch, and we get flooded. But you have zero control over that. You do have control over sharing this with somebody. So this is recorded. We're gonna post it tomorrow. We'll share it with the town, share it with those that can be here. You do have control over whether you do your kit or not. You have control going out tomorrow, this weekend, to get your water, and I can guarantee they will run out when the storm. So that water, is good for quite a while. You do have control to look at what your risk is, and to focus on the impacts, not, the category. You do have, control over not forgetting back to the storm. So there's a lot you can control. If you got your hotel lined up and your kit, you're ready to go. Then you just make a decision. It's way less stressful if you make those decisions now. One thing I want people to think about, and I'm pretty sure the town is the best, I'm pretty sure. So if you're a part of an organization, Ms. Diane talked about the churches, we're trying to work through churches as well. The town is an ambassador. We would always do talks like this and always provide you with those brochures in the past. But now we're jumping up and down and waving our hands and say, how else can we get into the community to do things like this? That is your information. You pay your taxes in April. We're part of the Department of Commerce and NOAA. We're part of the federal government. And if those are your brochures, this is your weather service. Just help us connect to the community, safety plans, weather radios, whatever we can help you with. Let us know, because if it's in a warehouse in Newport and it's sitting there, that does no good. So we work through schools, churches, that's a book club we did up in Aurora, the public library, small library, we'll go anywhere. Babies to senior citizens, we are all over the place. And if you are interested in signing up, I have some paper forms, but you can just scan the QR code or just talk to me. Again, we've talked to HOAs, hospitals, just about anybody. Last slide is my email. So Mr. Bruce can attest to this. The consequence of doing so much is Mr. Eric has over, I think it's 51,000 other emails in my inbox. It gives some of my coworkers anxiety because I have so many, I can't keep up with it. So you can email me, and I have my cell, I'll provide that as well. I will get back to you eventually, but I should put my number up there more because now you see the email, I might not get it right away. Keep in touch with us if you need anything. I think there's a question in the back about asking, what would a category 4 or 3? I can walk you through that stuff. We can look at, your vulnerability of your property. I'm not going to tell you to evacuate your state, but I can say, hey, you're under 10 feet or 13 feet. You really would very tempted to the surge, or no, you're over at 306. You're up at 40 feet. You're pretty good to go. I can help you look at some of that stuff. Just anything you need, school visits, and come tour the office. You're welcome to come take a tour. Those are open and free to everybody. Just contact me.
We can also help you look at your specific property. We use a website called Preparedness. And if you just Google that, it'll get you to the right place. It allows you to click on North Carolina and allows you to zoom into your own property on a bridge. And it tells you where you are elevation wise. So you can go in and look at that yourself, and it tells you you're in the 100 or 100 year, you have a 0.2% risk, whatever it is. And you can also get an elevation certificate for your property from the registry of deeds of the county. So they'll know how high you
What was
are.
that website again, please?
It's FRIS.gov, and I believe it's like /North Carolina, but if you just type that in, it'll get you real close.
If you Google like NC for North Carolina flood maps, it'll usually direct you to that. It's great. You send your address in and it'll show you.
It zooms you right in.
It's very good. Knowing your elevation is very important. You got Google Earth, you can punch in your address and it'll know. Yes.
I just want to give people a heads up because when you think of evacuation, you think you're just going to be able to get on the road and go. It normally takes about 2 hours, 20 minutes, 2 hours and a half to get from here to Raleigh. I left 2.5 days before the storm, and it took me 6 hours to get to Raleigh.
Which one was it?
Florence.
So just repeat that to the online audience, 2 to 2.5 hours to get to Raleigh on a good normal day. Lady in the audience left 2.5 days before.
Yeah, 2.5
2.5 days before Florence took 6 hours. So that's the.
People with boats,
Yeah.
trailers, it's not just traffic, you've got the regular trucks and everything else on the road, so just have your patience.
And if you can't get Eric, please email me, and I'll call him and tell him.
All right, we appreciate you coming.